Hey, you fish freaks. Welcome to episode number 89 of the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast, your ultimate source for all things kayak fishing. And this show is proudly sponsored by Kayak Bass Fishing, folks, where you can join the KBF monthly state challenges and compete anytime, anywhere. These catch, photo, release tournaments run at the state, regional, and national levels. So no matter where you live, there's a challenge for you. I just signed up personally for March. I'm not quite sure why I did this, Seth, because still ice on the water here in March. I did have a glimpse. There's this little pond next to me, and the edges are starting to be open water. I'm like, oh, man, I'm a couple weeks out. I was catching fish March 11th here in Northeast Ohio. But nonetheless, I signed up. And so you can sign up too all over the country. Head over to kayakbassfishing.com. Click on the compete button and to learn more. Tonight, I'm excited about tonight. We're going to be talking about becoming a content creator on an overly saturated fishing market. We're going to cover the metrics, the expectations. We're going to be covering how long it takes to start earning, potential earning, right? Stacking revenue, highs, lows, time investments, channel authority, you name it. And I have Seth, who's just kind of at the beginning of publicly getting this thing started. Right. I'm going to bring on Chase, Southwest Indiana Outdoors. He's been doing it for 2 years, and I've been doing it for 4 years. And I'm going to do something tonight that I haven't done in 4 years. I've never done this. I'm going to give everyone a behind-the-scenes look at my metrics on YouTube. And so,
are you saying we're going to know how much money you make there?
Yeah, that's what I'm. You're going to see how much AdSense money I make. We'll get that in just a little bit. Chase, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Doing great. Good to be on tonight.
Yeah, heck yeah. Welcome. I don't think I've ever had you on the show before. So glad.
No, first time.
Glad you're on. So, Seth, looks like you got in a fight and lost. What happened there?
Yeah, I got a
bloody nose for those listening in.
Yeah. For anyone that's looking in the video, I have a cut right across my nose. A piece of metal got me there. It could have been a lot worse. It's kind of, I don't know if it's still bleeding. I got a shower before this, just so I was clean for everyone to listen to me here. But I wiped my face with a towel and busted it all open again, so it was bleeding. So if you see that, that's what happened. Yeah, we're going to be all right, though. Got a hook in my hand last week. Got a cut in the face with metal this week. Yeah.
Man, that's sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you. Just sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, your life sucks.
It is what it is,
right? Well, you know what? I just want to. There's a lot of meat on this bone, so I just want to hop right into it, if you guys don't mind. Seth, starting off, we're going to start with you, and we're going to go to Chase. We're going to keep on kind of round robin. If you have a question for one of us about something we're specifically talking about, go ahead and throw that in the comment section. We will get these answered. So if you have a question about any of the things we're talking about, love to hear it. So, what are the questions that go through your mind? Because it's my understanding that both Seth and you, Chase, you want to make a full-time go at this someday. It's just a matter of time, right? So, Seth, what's going through your head? What are the questions you have as someone who is just being like, okay, I'm getting this thing started up. I'm not starting at ground zero, but how far are you into this so far?
How far am I into it?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the YouTube videos I posted this year, like the counter would it would be zero.
Zero on YouTube.
Not how far so for me, it's a time thing. Would be a question I'd have for you guys is, how much time are you putting into it? We'll get to that. Yep. It's easy for me to do short reels, Instagram, TikTok, things like that require very little editing and getting on the computer and putting stuff together. So that's simple, but the long form content that you guys have on YouTube and subscribers and the money that you make on YouTube, I'm really interested to hear. I've read that like your first 1,000 subscribers are really difficult to get, and then after you get over 1,000, it gets a little bit easier, and then the more you get, it kind of snowballs a little bit. Was interested to hear if that's true, just really everything. So I don't know how much I can give to this conversation other than questions that pop up. It's probably going to be you guys just telling me and everyone else everything that you're doing and being so successful with.
So is it only time that you haven't pushed the button? I mean, on YouTube and kind of sticking to shorts?
No, that's not the only reason. I guess the other reason would be like, what avenue do I want to take? So what you do, Darren, and your YouTube videos it seems to me at least that you know everything about every single thing that ever came out. And I don't, I don't like, you know, the names of all these baits and tools and like everything. I'm like, dude, he either puts well, I'm sure you do a lot of research into it, or you just know a lot. So
I don't.
That's one thing that I'm not interested in doing what you do, because you do a great job. So I'll just tell everyone to go to you for everything like that. Mine's
Perfect.
a little bit, yeah, right. Mine's a little bit different. Like I'm more fishing content. And so if you ever seen like Brandon Polinick's videos, like that's what I love. It's like a movie, right? Like it's a movie. But is that what gets you subscribers on YouTube and, you know, has a lot of interest in people? It's like, I don't know, do people enjoy watching other people fish, or do they want to learn something while they're doing it? So anyway, I don't exactly know what avenue I want to take and what's sustainable for me and fishing tournaments and work and family. So yeah, it's a whole lot of questions, I guess.
No, it's good. It's my hope that Chase and I, with our, you know, limited 2 4 years, there's guys and girls out here doing much longer than that. But I think 2 years and 4 years are really two really great stepping stones. So for those of you who don't know, in order to become monetized on YouTube, you have to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. And so that's kind of usually everyone's first goal. And like you mentioned, Seth, it's difficult to get that. And so Chase, you're right in the middle of that right now. So explain 2 things. One, talk about that and the nuances to that, because a lot of people don't realize that's rolling. And 2, share a little bit about yourself, share a little bit about why content creation and why you're like, hey, I'm going to make a run at this thing.
Yeah. So I'll say that that 4,000 watch hours, that is a lot of work to put in, you know. And I'll say that it's easy to get views on shorts. So that's where I really started, you know, pushing out to try to get views and to gain subscribers. But I've noticed that shorts definitely do not, you know, translate over to watch hours. And that was something that I seen my subscribers growing, but seen my watch hours not going up at all. And I've got some, you know, kind of details in here, but I started posting to YouTube in March of 2023. And at the time, you know, it was just a few long form videos. Shortly after that, I actually found Darren's channel and followed him a little bit, and then saw him talking about posting shorts and gaining subscribers. And that was something that I was like, well, maybe I need to get into that. And I think at the time I probably had, you know, 10 or 11 subscribers, you know, like my dad and a few friends. And and I think I started posting some shorts in May of that year, and started posting them pretty consistently, probably about July-ish, and seen some growth in that time. Seen my subscriber count really going up. Of course, seen my views going up on some of my long form content, but mostly just seeing those shorts. And shorts they were doing really well at the time. You know, if I posted a short and it got 400 to 500 views, I was deleting it. That just wasn't enough. I wasn't happy if it didn't.
Oh, really? You know, you're deleting shorts? Okay.
Yeah. If they weren't hitting anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000, then I wasn't very happy with them. And I would actually repost them, and they would normally do better. So that was something I started out, and that was when I started seeing growth again in the subscriber count. You know, as I saw myself getting closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark, I was like, man, I just don't see the watch hours going up. Yeah, Grant said never delete them. I actually have learned that now. I don't delete them any longer. But I did notice that the watch hours just weren't coming up. So started working really hard about you know, pushing more of my long form content. So over my first year, I made 50 long form videos.
One a week, cranking them out.
Yeah, exactly. So it ended up coming out to one a week, and it was a fairly decent year. I ended up hitting 900 and some subscribers within the first year of actually doing it.
Okay.
But again, most of those came from short form content. Last year, I made a big change, and I said, you know, I'm gonna actually put out a lot more long form content, and spend more time on it. Now, when I say long form content for my first year, a lot of my first videos were anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes long, so they weren't quite shorts, but they weren't long form content really. And last year I started getting more into that. I posted a lot more long form content and realized that, a certain level of long form is what seems to do best for me. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean it's going to do best for certain people, but for me, it seems like if I hit at least 10 minutes and hit anywhere from that 10 to 20-minute mark, that's when I see a lot more views, a lot more watch hours. So that was, by the end of last year when I started really realizing that, putting in a lot more time into the videos. But I'll say, editing. Darren talked about, putting some time into what it takes to make a video, and editing is a lot of work, especially when you're talking fishing videos. I know you spoke on that too, Seth.
Yeah.
When it comes to
freaking
editing
8 hours of videos you got to roll through. And
yes.
Like, oh, you went out for a day. Now you can do the thing where you mark it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I personally don't do that. And so I just rip through, and when it doesn't look like I'm fishing, I'm holding up a fish, I'll cut it out, create a short. But yeah, it's time consuming.
Yes.
You get faster at it. At first, it was tough for me. Let's use a 10-minute mark. A 10-minute video when I first got started, my goodness, from the time it took to get the cameras, go out there, shoot it, come back, download it, cut it up, edit it, and go through your editing process, figuring out the editing tools, right? I use iMovie. I think it's the easiest, and I don't think our sector requires heavy edits. It's not like we're a tech, so I don't need mine to look like a movie. In fact, I think the demographic, at least from my channel in the fishing sector, isn't like movie elevated. That's just my personal opinion. It doesn't need to look like a movie. In fact, the raw might even, I do some raw and I do rough cutting on purpose sometimes, nonetheless. And so what used to take me a good 8 hours, I can get one of those things done from the time I get it home editing a shot. I mean, maybe 2.5 hours. So as you get better at editing, but at first it's brutal, right? So not only when you go out and maybe you don't catch a fish, you're like, crap, I don't have any content. That was a big problem at first, because I'm now a better angler because of my content creation. We'll get into that as well. But at first you're like, crap, I got to have a good day on the water. And then when you get back, it's like, crap, now I got to be a good editor, and I'm not. And then you get all this done. You do ABC testing on the thumbnail. My thumbnail sucked at the beginning. I used to outsource them on Fiverr for a minute. And that was getting to be kind of just time consuming, and it cost money, of course. I brought those back in house, and now you got to create 3 of them so YouTube can, and then you got to put tags, and then you got to run over to ChatGPT to help you write so you can rank with the keywords in your description. And then you got to go over here and put in timestamps, and you got to do all your affiliate. And holy crap, guys, it's a lot of work. And then you send that mother 50 views. You're like, what?
Yes.
And so this buries most initial content creators. And I'm seeing a lot of this stuff in the comments, and we'll get to those comments in a minute. Keep them coming. I'm starring them. We'll come back around in a minute. But this usually, most people are like, no bueno. And so how is that experience for you right now, Chase? Because I'm sure you're 2 years in. Like, you're getting have you noticed that evolution on your ability to edit, chop it up, post, being able to do that quicker, faster?
Yes, without a doubt. It started out, like you said, especially, I'll say the most brutal, you do an 8-hour tournament. And, one of the big things that most of my videos are fishing, time spent on the water. That's most of my long form content is time spent on the water. And you do an 8-hour tournament, and you're talking, being on the water for, anywhere from 8.5 to 9 hours, and then going through all that footage and, like you said, picking it apart piece by piece. And that is, if you have one camera, you're spending that much time. You add a second camera and you're spending double that amount, which is something that I did, kind of halfway into last year, added a second camera. and going through each of those videos, kind of syncing them up. You know, you hit 2 viewpoints. So I was using the chesty for part of it and then part of the over the shoulder camera, and kind of chopping those together and making them, you know, try to flow cohesive. And I've seen changes in that video, seeing my my watch hours in each video. You know, I was holding people longer, which was big, you know. And I think that change of viewpoint is something that I learned. You know, it people need to see something changing. So seeing that change of viewpoint where it was chopping together my different viewpoints, I think really helped out on holding people. But yeah, so seeing my editing time go from, like I said, I mean, I would spend a long time editing and end up with a 2 to 5 minute video. And now, you know, it doesn't take near the amount of time to edit, and I'll normally end up with anywhere, like I said, from a 10 to 20 minute video. I really like that 15 to 20 minute mark. That's what seems to do best for me. But something that I didn't mention right at first, one of the first things I did, I first got a camera. I had been talking to the wife. I was like, look, I really want to pick up a GoPro. I think it would be cool to record my stuff, and I'm going to post it to YouTube. It would be fun. You know, who knows what could happen. And, you know, I'm sure that we both kind of laughed at myself for that one, you know, thinking that, hey, what could this really be? But the first probably 6 months of me filming anything, I would go through and try to edit it, and I would be like, man, my voice sounds terrible. I look like a goofball on the water, and I'm like, I'm deleting that content. So I deleted who knows how much footage through the first 6 months of doing it that nobody ever saw. And then even when I first edited my first videos, if I go back and look at those, I'm like, oh man, what was I doing then? You know,
you're learning, man. You're learning.
Yeah, no joke. And had I not posted that first video, I would still be in that same shape. So definitely something that, take the time, make the videos, and post them. Your first ones are not going to be good. Post that video and grow from it, because that's the way I look at it. I try to look at my last video and what can I do better.
No, 100%. And I always say, because you'll get stuck in this rut if you start content creating. You'll be like, oh, this isn't great. It's not going to be great until you're about 100 videos in. It's still not going to be great. And the goal is just to be 1% better. It's kind of like fishing, right? I just want to be 1% better than I was the last time I went out. Same thing with content creation. Just send it and start creating the next one. You know, look at your analytics. Don't dive in there and freaking live there and get all like super analytical. But see how your audience, you're like, oh, I noticed a huge drop off at the beginning. That means my intro sucks. I need to work on my intros, right? And so really take a look at your analytics, but move on. And to create, I always say that better. Oh, what am I looking for? It doesn't need to be perfect. And so sometimes just done is better than better. And so get it done, get it out the door, post it, move on to the next one, take a look at it, take a look at your analytics, and just continue to grow. I mean, I kept all my first ones on there. And so it's kind of fun to go back like, oh, that freaking sucks. But it's also really encouraging to be like, hey, look how far I've come, right?
I got to go back and get some encouragement now.
There you go.
How many videos ago was that, Wendell? Like 1,000? No, I'm just kidding.
I've put up 1,600 videos. A lot of them are shorts. Yeah, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let's take a look at some of these questions here. Phase fishing. How y'all build your audience? Chase, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, it all started really with one consistent commenter, and honestly, he'll still pop up, you know, on my videos from here and there and comment, and just kind of building that a little bit of camaraderie over the comments. You know, if someone comments, you comment back, you engage with them. They see, hey, you know, this guy's taking the time out of his day to engage with me. Again, you know, at the time, I think I had probably 50 subscribers when he started watching my videos.
Yeah.
And you know, so starting out small, stay engaged with your, you know, the people that are watching your shows. Show them that you care about them actually spending time watching your stuff, and they'll understand that, you know, it's important to you. And I know Darren, you were the same way, because I can remember, you know, when, like I said, when I started watching you, and I can remember back to those times when I would comment on your videos and you would get on there and comment back, you know, and that's a big thing, especially starting out, building a community. Now, I'll even have some videos that may not take off and do real well, but I'll have, you know, 10 to 20 different people comment on a regular basis. And I think that makes a big difference. Having those same people that seem to come back every time makes a huge difference to me.
No, it's good. You said, especially when you're young. I would say, especially forever. And it seems like it gets a little overwhelming. Right now, I got 50, I just hit 50,000 subs, and I probably get anywhere from 20 to 50 comments a day. I try to respond. I read every single one of them. I try to respond to as many as possible. And so I'm in there. I'm constantly, and that's just kind of like, if you treat YouTube as a business, right? If you want it to be a business, if you say, I'm having a personal brand and I want to do this full time, you got to look at everyone who reaches out to you like an email that you would get at work, right? They have a question, they're trying to solve a problem, and they're coming to you for that answer. So take the time to respond. So this is good. Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to building an audience. I do that through a variety of different ways. Of course, YouTube is my home base. That's where I make the majority of revenue coming from AdSense. And I posted all the other ones, and sometimes, you know, Facebook will send it, sometimes Instagram will send it, sometimes TikTok will send it, but none of those really pay well. So I don't spend a lot of time there. My community is here on YouTube. So that's where I spend a lot of my time and focus and upkeep on the channel. We got a lot of questions over here. All right, you got Black Oak Outdoors saying, I tried to do YouTube consistently. Consistency is my problem. Having 2 jobs and content creation is tough. Yeah, 100%, man. Sly Fox Fishing, I would love to make some money, but it's hard learning the algorithm and keywords is tough. All right, let's touch on that a little bit, because this is something I learned. I think Mr. Beast talks about a lot. If you do a lot of the learning part of YouTube, a lot of people blame the algorithm. All right, the algorithm, and I stopped kind of using algorithm. I say it kind of in jest now. It's kind of fun, but what YouTube and Mr. Beast and all these people have been doing professionally, just replace algorithm with audience, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're like, hey, I'm gonna have a hard time learning the algorithm, you're actually having a hard time learning your audience. What does your audience want? And this is why, and this is one way I build my community. If you're on YouTube, you probably see my community post every day. I got polls. And I'm polling for a reason, not just polling because I got to come up with a question. I'm polling, I'm trying to figure out what it is that this group of people are passionate about. And I use that in my comments. Like, how many use fish finders? Oh crap, only 30% of you use fish finders. Okay, good to know. Maybe I shouldn't double down on fish finder content. Maybe not, because not everybody who's a subscriber actually is seeing your content. Actually, it's a lot less than that than you think. So maybe I need to create that content. And so I'm taking all of this information I'm grabbing from analytics, I'm grabbing from feedback, I'm asking for people, and that's how I'm figuring out what the audience, aka algorithm, wants to hear. Chase, any thoughts on that? We got a lot of questions here.
No, I think you're spot on with that 100%. I mean, checking with your audience on what they want to hear is a big thing. I have several videos that I, you know, in my talking videos, I'll say, hey, you know, what are you looking at? And that's a lot of the comments that you'll get. What would you like to see in my next videos? And they'll give you feedback. Ask your audience what they want to see and work towards that. Now, ultimately, I want to do things that I'm going to enjoy. I'm not going to just put out a video and something that I'm not going to enjoy, because if I'm not enjoying it, I don't think anybody's going to enjoy watching me do it.
No,
but
they're not buying it.
Yeah, exactly. But get their feedback. You know, if they say, hey, you should try wading sometime. I mean, if it's something that you're interested in doing, get out there and put together a video on it. You never know what it'll do.
Yeah, 100%. I got some other comments coming in from the live Outdoors Fishing Dream. I've uploaded 20 plus videos, had like 1,000 subs. I'm so tired because I don't know if my content is good or not. Well, I can tell you right now, if you only uploaded 20 videos, Outdoors Fishing Dream, it's not good. right? Unless you're a professional content editor coming into this. If you're just learning and cutting your teeth on YouTube, you got about 80 more videos you need to create to figure out whether or not that's going to be good. And this isn't something that I learned. A lot of times people come to me like, hey, how you doing it? How you doing it? How you figuring this out? How it seems like I am winning. And so people are coming to me asking me these questions. Like, be honest with you guys, I spend a lot of my time learning because it's an ever-changing landscape. And so I always tell people, I don't want to be the person that tells you how to create your YouTube channel. This is the first video like this I've ever done. Head over to Think Media and follow Sean Cannell and do everything he says. That's what I tell people. Like, how'd you do it? I was like, I followed Think Media for the past 4 years and did everything they told me to do. And this is the end result, which we'll get to in a minute. Here, probably 5 minutes or so, we're going to open up the analytics and give you kind of peek behind the curtain. Steven Sturgeon says, how much does likes help the creators? So essentially just signaling to YouTube that, hey, I like this, right? And the more people like it, the more people it's going to send an impression, which is an opportunity to see an opportunity and click on it. And so this is why I always, and I'll do it right now. We got 73 people live right now. Please help me out. Hit the like button because that will help get a little bit more reach after this live is said and done. And so more people can see it, more people can interact with it. And sometimes it'll send it depending on the topic. This podcast might get 5,000 views or it might get 1,000 views. So a lot of times it has to do with watch time and they take into consideration likes and shares and comments and all that stuff. Sly Fox, I hate editing. I hear you. It's not for everybody. World's Worst Fishing. I just got a silver play button, which is 100,000 subscribers. He said, once you get a few years under your belt, burnout becomes a real thorn in the side. And I was actually talking to another content creator. He's like, hey, a few years back, I took 3 months or so off. And he credits that point to where he's still paying the penalty on it because YouTube is a machine. They continue to want you to create content. And if you take months off, sometimes you can see when you had momentum. YouTube doesn't typically like that. And so this is one of those things where if you are going to do it full time and you're like, hey, I want to go on vacation and I still want to enjoy life, you can do that. You just got to work ahead, right? You can schedule your videos out so it never looks like you're taking a vacation. But burnout can be a real thorn in the side. I agree. I know a couple of content creators. You see a lot of content creators who started early. They're kind of retiring. Yep. And I'm just thinking like, great, more room for me. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, typically they're not retiring from YouTube. They use YouTube to grow their business so much to the point where they don't need YouTube anymore. Right. So maybe they have, 8-person team that's doing it and they're just removing their time and attention in front of a camera. But my goodness, we got insane amount of comments here. We'll go around the horn here from Phase Fishing. What video software do you use? I'm assuming editing software.
Yeah. So I've used for a lot of my shorter form content, I used just GoPro Quick Editor, but I've got to where I use CapCut a lot. And then some of my longer videos, I'll get on and use DaVinci Resolve. I think it's one of the better ones for long form. But yeah, I've used a lot of CapCut really more recently than anything.
Yeah. I've been using CapCut for over a year for all my shorts. They do a lot of the auto text and all that stuff. I can cut it down and get it out the door pretty quickly. For all my long form, I edit in iMovie. And I can freaking rip in iMovie. And so I probably won't be moving anytime soon. I know it has a lot of limitations, but I figure out all I need to do for like I said earlier in the video, all that the fishing industry really demands is what I believe iMovie can provide. And since I have a Mac and since it comes free and since it's really easy to use, if you're looking for a really easy to use and you own a Mac, you already have iMovie. So I would go figure that out, watch a few tutorials. And if you watch my content, I have never used anything other than iMovie for long form. All right, let's go ahead and hop into some of the analytics. We're 32 minutes in. My goodness, a lot of questions here.
Comments are rolling.
They are rolling. So Seth, if you happen to see something in there that's juicy, let me know. So CapCut it does cost if you don't want their stupid watermark on there. So I think you're probably looking at $10 a month, nonetheless worth it for what it allows you to do. It's pretty robust. It can do a lot of things. And so you can kind of get lost in it, but nonetheless, once you figure out the basics, you can kind of add on a lot of the other features that they offer. But nonetheless, good to go. All right, let's do a peek behind the curtain. So let's say I want to give everyone a realistic expectation. I was talking to the guys in the green room. I was like, hey, just like for kayak fishing, I do some videos that basically say, hey, don't get into kayak fishing if you can't handle these things. And I do that not because I want to get, not because I want clickbait or anything. I genuinely want to help people. And so I'd hate for someone to get into a $5,000 kayak and spend all this money on accessories only to find out 2 weeks later they freaking hate it. Right. And so this is why I wanted to do this podcast tonight, because I don't want you to get and spend an insane amount of investment, an insane amount of time, only to find out that in a year from now, I don't want to do it. And those hours, which are going to be countless, I tell you, countless hours. I don't want that to be done in vain. So I wanted to kind of give you a general what you can expect. And I'm sure you're going to get different results from different content creators. But if you're in the kayak fishing niche, which is kind of what I am in, is what Chase is in, if that's kind of where you want to go with this, in a highly saturated fishing market where everybody's throwing a GoPro up and everybody's throwing it on the YouTube, and there's a lot of competition, what you can expect. So Chase, let's take it away. If you don't mind sharing the behind the scenes, and then I'll end. Then after you're done sharing, I will share on mine. And so for those of you who don't have a YouTube channel, are you able to present?
I am working on that right now. Yeah. Let me know if it's coming through.
Oh, it's coming through. Boom. There it is. All right. You hopping into analytics. All right. So walk us through. So this is kind of the back end. If you have a channel, you're going to see a lot of this stuff that you kind of utilize to your advantage and kind of see how you're doing. And so this is kind of the first page, your dashboard. So Chase, take it away. Take us to the analytics, kind of walk people through your journey so far.
Yeah. So as you can see, I'm up to 1,614 subscribers, which looks like I've gained 3 tonight since we started.
Come on.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. So the biggest thing that matters, at least where I'm at for sure, I know it's important as you gain subscribers, gain everything else. Watch hours is still going to be one of your top metrics of all time. Watch hours is really huge. So you can see, like Darren said, this is just your dashboard. It kind of breaks down what your recent time is. You can see the last 28 days, 2.7 thousand views, 208 watch hours, which over the last 28 days, I've not posted as many videos, and that makes a big difference. I do see some of my videos that have been around for a little while that have done well. Like one of my top videos for the last 48 hours is a video that one of my first few videos that I made. It's still getting views on a pretty consistent basis, and continuing to grow, even if just a little at a time. You can see, your recently published videos and how they're doing on just a quick breakdown. And then you can actually go into your content here and look at each one of your videos. You can make your edits from here and see that. But we'll go ahead and get into analytics.
The juice.
So, like I said, the last 28 days, here's my breakdown. And then you can actually click in to see more. And over the last year, what kind of analytics I have. I'll say the hardest thing, like I said, is that watch hours and getting that time in. As you can see, the 4,000 watch hours is over 365 days. So it kind of breaks down your videos here, and you can break it down by views, by watch hours. I like to break it down by watch hours for me, because again, that's the most important metric. But you'll see what videos have, really excelled. For myself, if a new video I post hits 20 hours and more, I'm very pleased with the way that took off. Again, that's at me in the 2-year mark. I'm happy with 20 hours. Now, if a video hits 30 to 40 hours, I feel like, hey, this is one that's going to do really, really well. Some of these videos have been around for quite a while, and some of these videos are new. Like, here's one that I posted at the end of last year, Big Fish of 2024, has 171 views, but has 24 hours of watch time. As you can see, it's a 26-minute long video, and it's just a breakdown of all my big catches.
So you can see you're 1,000 short then. Brutal.
Yeah,
and you have 100,000 views.
Yeah, that's because I'm 1,000 short because I had a few videos recently hit the 365-day mark that have done really well. Here, this video alone has like 270 some hours, but right now I'm only getting credit for 150 hours because of that last 365 days is what really matters. This video is another one that has like 200 hours of watch time, but only 92 hours over the last 365 days. But I've seen another thing that has really helped me along the way, and I'm seeing growth in, is starting to do some live streams. So anybody who's watching lately has seen that since December, I've done some live streams with my wife, and I've seen some good watch hours come out of those. Again, it builds the community. I feel like, and I know you probably experience the same thing, Darren, with this KFO show, but it's something that really builds the community because you get so much engagement. Like you were just saying, all the comments we've had on this video so far, seeing those comments, engaging with your audience, and building an audience that's going to go back and watch some of your other videos is really big. So getting watch hours through those live streams normally end up constituting into a whole lot more watch hours than just what the live stream was, because those people are people that are now invested in you because you engaged with them throughout that whole time. And that's something that I actually did a live stream on the water and plan to do more of those, because I feel like those are really key in the fishing. So another thing I'll talk about, as far as for me, fishing videos sometimes do well and sometimes they do not, but a lot of review videos really take off well. So again, I think that fishing live will kind of kick off some of those fishing videos and get that engagement up and maybe build some of that fishing community. Because I mean, there's your Greg Blanchards out there, your John Daltons, who have been doing it for a while. They're very well established, and if someone's looking for a fishing video, they may not take a newer channel and just start following them. But once you build that community, that's when you see things starting to really grow.
So how I look at it, and I want to get into, see if you ABC test your thumbnails, because I get a lot of comments over here in the live section on thumbnails. So my question to you is, my thought is, everyone's got to remember what YouTube is, right? It is a search engine, essentially. And people are usually, when they go to the search engine, they have a problem and they're looking for a video to fix that problem. Most individuals, when they go to YouTube, own number 2 search engine in the world, owned by the number 1 search engine in the world, Google. They are not searching, oh, my problem is today I need to go watch some dude fish. That's not their problem, right? Usually the problem is, I don't know how to fish this lure. I don't know about this rod I want to buy. I'm not sure about this kayak I'm going to buy. I need to go out. And so you have to be able to answer those questions. But the question is, how do you know what questions people are asking? And so I do this by going to a website. I'm giving away some juice here that I wasn't planning on giving away, called answerthepublic.com. If you go to answerthepublic.com and you type in, say, kayak fishing, it will then calculate and answer for you all the questions that people are typing into Google and YouTube around kayak fishing. And so if you're like, oh man, I'm running out of ideas of videos to create, well, guess what? I just gave you 1,000 of them. And it's literally the questions people are asking that they need answers to. And so you might also be thinking to yourself, oh, but there's so many other YouTubers and content creators who have already answered that question. Well, if they've already answered that question answer it better. Because if your video can answer it better than that video that you see at number 1 or that's ranking, you will then rank above that video. Now, I'm not telling you copy it, right? But if you watch a video, you're like, wait a second, they missed this point, they missed this point, they missed this point and this point, all of which I feel some competency in sharing. Recreate that video, throw a better thumbnail on it, do some better keywords, and send that mother. And so that's how the game is played. All right. I see that you brought up thumbnails. You A/B tested. You didn't ABC test on this
one. So sometimes I'll just A/B test. Sometimes I will ABC test. But yeah, so that's something that I've recently just started really using. Sometimes I don't see a difference at all. Sometimes I see a pretty substantial difference. Here's one
pretty substantial in this
I pulled up. 2/3 versus 1/3. I mean, that's a pretty good difference. So I obviously went with the thumbnail that did better. And I'll have some that'll be, if you do 3 videos, one will be 32% and the other 2 will be, in that mid 30s as well. So, those you just kind of pick whichever one you like the most, but then some that it makes a really big difference. Sometimes you'll have a test complete and it'll say, there was inconclusive data. So you just kind of go with it from there. But yeah, so that's something that I've really just started doing. And I'm going to throw out a shout out to my wife, because if you look at my thumbnails, speaking thumbnails, if you look at my thumbnails over the last quite a while, there was a lot of inconsistency there versus if you see my more recent thumbnails, you're seeing the font looking similar, the colors being similar. Yeah. That is 100% her. She's really been helping me out thumbnail wise. I'm actually going to be working on trying to go back and update thumbnails from some of my older videos.
I've done that.
Running those A/B tests on some of those, because not experience on my behalf, but from what I've heard talking to some other people, that if you run those tests on videos that have been out for a while, sometimes it'll kind of push them back out there, just to kind of gauge that audience on seeing something new.
Yeah, 100%. I'll go back through which for videos that have performed, but they have a terrible thumbnail, because I have grown in my craft on thumbnail creation. I'll go back and just recreate it, make it look more modern. And so, because everyone does this. When you go to YouTube, you can just scroll at a glance and that's an Alex Rudd video. That's a John Dalton video. That's a Devo video. That's probably a Wendell video. And so just because there's a rhythm and a rhyme and it's on purpose, the same colors, the same type of style, and that's what you want to start creating. And you want to do it to the point where you don't have to throw your logo up there for people to recognize it. You just want to do it through your style and creation. And when it comes to thumbnail creation, this is a big deal, right? I've heard some people in the comment section, and it's true. You can have the best freaking video and spent hours upon hours, have the biggest bass of your life, a sick title, and if your thumbnail sucks, everything sucks, right? And so I loved it when YouTube came out with ABC testing, and I was like, oh crap, now I gotta spend time creating 3 thumbnails, typically different, and it took me forever to create one, but I was like, this is really going to give me a leg up, because I am willing to outwork, outlearn, outlast just about anybody I know. That's about the only way I knew how to be successful in life. It's just usually I'm the last one standing. So I'm like, great, this is going to make it harder for most content creators, but I'm going to lean into this pretty hard. And it's been pretty incredible. And I'll show you some of the downloads from it, but you really got to dial in your thumbnail work. And I used to buy these off of Fiverr for like $7. Someone can create, you send them a photo, tell them what you want, and you go back through a couple of iterations. And so if you suck at your thumbnails and you suck, and other people in the comment section saying, hey, your thumbnails suck, but your video is good, it might be beneficial to you to spend $7.99, head over to Fiverr, find a designer that lives in India or Sri Lanka to create thumbnails for you until you can figure that out yourself. Nonetheless, thumbnails is key. Titles is key. Now, when you start getting into tags, less important. I'm not saying don't pay attention to it. I'm just saying it's less important than it used to be. And when it comes to keywords, somewhat important in your description. But I'll spend a ton of time on titles, right? And spend a ton of time on thumbnails, sometimes as long as it took me to edit the freaking video. And so you really don't overlook your titles, and don't overlook, because you don't get A/B testing on your titles. You get ABC testing on your titles. You just stuck with it.
Yeah.
It's the thumbnails where you get the juice. Where do you create all your thumbnails? And most everyone uses the same thing, unless you're like actually
Canva.
Canva. That's it.
Is what I did mine on, and then now that my wife's doing it, it's the same thing. Canva.
Yeah. Spend the $12.99 on Canva. Learn it really well. I mean, it's so funny now because I'll go through on YouTube and be like, "Oh, homie's using Canva. Homie's using Canva." Because I'm seeing like the templates that then people just change it up a little bit. Like, oh, I know that. I've seen that before in Canva. But it is solid, and it's one of those things. At first, I sucked at Canva. Spend the time. Spend a couple hours watching tutorials, really dial that in, because it is actually more robust than it looks like. All right. Tell us about money. Talk about the good stuff. Everyone's like, hey, if I'm going to spend all this time and I'm going to be doing the thumbnails and all this ridiculous amount of hours away from family, and I got 2 jobs and blah, 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 blah. What's the earning potential for you? Now, granted, we just talked about you not being able to reach yet the monetization on YouTube. And so are there other ways that you're monetizing?
Yeah. So as of right now, no. I've seen, I've built partnerships. That's a big thing that I'll say. So I may not be making money, but hey, I get some lures for free, or I get some gear for free here and there, which is one of the first things that I told my wife. I could remember saying, hey, it would be really cool to be able to get some free stuff, and that was one of my initial goals, was hey, it would be neat receiving some free items. And over the time, when you start out and you get some company reaching out to you saying, hey, I'd love to send you this if you do a video on it. That's one of the first enticing things, but you've got to look at, is this something that is going to actually build my channel? Is this something that's going to build my audience? Again, build that community that you really need. And it's easy to just say, hey, it's something free, it would be cool to take. But looking in and saying, no, that's not really something that's right for me, or that's not right for my growth in this. So currently, no, not making money.
No affiliate?
So no.
I'm about to flip the tables.
I have Amazon affiliates, yes. So I do make some money off of that. Nothing substantial. Of course, that makes a difference when I'm posting videos, like talking through. One of my videos is like my kayak fishing gear. I think it's like kayak fishing Christmas gifts or something like that. That one's done really well on gaining some Amazon affiliates, but that's something that I don't push a lot of, because I really like making fishing videos, and I have a hard time being a salesman while I'm out there fishing. That's another thing I guess I'll touch on, is talking in your videos. That's something you really got to push for, and
you got to train yourself.
Yes, at the start that was so hard, and I would get a lot of feedback on that, saying, hey, you need to talk more. Even had some of my boys' friends, my boy was like, hey, my dad has YouTube, he's on YouTube. And some of his friends would be like, hey, your dad does some really cool fishing videos, but he never talks in them. So that's something that you got to push yourself in, spending time talking to the camera. Learn to talk to the camera like it's somebody out there. Live streams help with that, definitely. But yeah, spend some time talking to the camera, practice that, and it'll make a difference.
So can I ask you how much on affiliate on Amazon? So for those you don't know, Amazon Associates, anybody can really sign up, and you can basically just create links for anything on Amazon, and you usually get a lower percentage than you would, say, if you went directly with a tackle warehouse. Typically, you might be getting 3 to 4% on kickbacks from Amazon at no additional cost to the person buying it. And you can get a lot better deals if you go directly. But a lot of people like to buy all the stuff in Amazon. And the beauty of Amazon is that, let's say they click on your link and they go to Amazon, and then they buy a fish finder that's been sitting in their cart for a while. You're going to get that affiliate too, because you sent them back there for a
Yes.
certain time frame. And so I have seen that. You're like, oh, I sold a sweeper today. Oh, I sold some weird thing that I obviously would remember.
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting enough.
A random trolling motor. That was one of the biggest ones I can remember
come
going
on.
back. Random trolling motor. I was like, well, hey, I'll take that. Because I know I didn't post that.
Yeah.
Non-motorized kayaks myself at the moment.
So what are you at right now monthly, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm gonna say $10 to $15 monthly. So it's not much.
So a jackhammer a month.
yeah, no joke. $10 to $15 monthly.
Okay. You need to, I would, if I were to give you any, I'd lean into that a little bit more. Because that could easily be $100 a month for you. If it takes time, it takes work, it takes organization. There's a lot of, it takes organization. There's a lot of, I'll tell everyone right now on affiliate marketing, I'm making between $400 and $900 a month on affiliate.
That's awesome.
Now, granted, I just made the decision. I took some courses and I paid for some courses through some individuals early on, which really set me up for success when it comes to affiliate marketing. And I think last year I sold like over 8,000 items through affiliate. And that's, I don't hold any of that stuff in my house. I don't have to keep any of that. I don't have to keep inventory anywhere. It's literally just pointing people, hey, if I'm talking about this particular lure, I'm setting a link down there in case anybody was like, hey, you know what? I want to try that out, or a rod or a fish finder, or I'm doing a video on a Striker 4. And so I just make it really easy to people. Hey, check it out if you want to. I'm not doing hard sells. I'm just saying I'm talking about this. I personally use it. These are the pros and cons. I'm gonna make it really easy for you to find it. And I try to find the best deal on Amazon to do that. So a lot of times that makes sense. All right, Seth, you've been checking out
I've got a question for you on that, Darren. So something that I've noticed recently, I've had some of my links in my videos will essentially just become broke on my Amazon affiliate. So you got to go back through and update your links. So that's something that I've got to start pushing myself to do, is going through and updating my links every once in a while, because all of a sudden I'll get credit for some links clicked, but items will sell and not actually get credit for that. And then I go back through it, and you can actually check your links by, I can't even remember exactly what the item is in the Amazon Associates, but you can put your link in there and it'll tell you if it's going to actually give you affiliate marketing when you click on that. And after so long, your links kind of break. So you got to go back through and update them. So do you experience that as well?
I don't, because part of this training, I'm gonna give you guys some more juice. You got to figure out a way to organize this stuff. And so I actually don't use Amazon Associates to manage it all. I use something, and you'll notice this. So if you go into your content creators and guys who are really heavy into affiliate, you will notice just by the beginning of the link, it'll say something like Amazon, like Amazon or Genius, or it could be a variety of different things. I use Genius Link. I pay for it. It's a fee. It helps me organize. It's going to let me know, hey, these 7 things, the links are broken, so you need to update it, because maybe, like for instance, NRS Copilot. I think I've had over 1,000 clicks on the NRS Copilot. Well, they discontinued the old NRS when I kicked that video out, a year or 2 ago. And so I had to upload the newest link to the newest Copilot. And so it really helps you, and it'll let you know, hey, there's 7 links that are broken. You can go through and check it out. It lets you know what parts of the country and what parts of the world people are coming in and checking it. It's letting you know, and it's a sliding scale. So it's going to cost, $8 maybe a month. And then if you have an excess of clicks, it's going to charge you more. And so it's a really great program, and it helps keep all of my affiliate links all in one place. So I'm not creating duplicate links. And so you can search, hey, Yak Attack Blackpack Pro, and that's the same link in every one of my videos for the last 4 years. Same one. And then that really helps me when I approach companies. Be like, hey, I have a conversion rate of 8.8% back in 2024 last year. And I've had 1,000 people go to click on this link. So now I can tell you actually how many of those I sold based off of the averages. And so I'm not just Joe Smo being like, hey, I'm a content creator, sponsor me. And so you actually got to know your numbers. Speaking of numbers, I'm going to switch gears on here. We're going to go to mine. All right, let me share my screen. Seth, any questions here?
No, man. I'm glad I brought a drink because I'm getting cotton mouth from all the talking I'm doing during this.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for this drink here. No, I mean, once you hit your numbers, I do have like, if you guys could both, and you don't have to do it right now, but like 2 or 3 main things to set someone up to be successful, someone that's new in the content creation on YouTube. Like, what are 2 or 3 bullet points that for the first year would really set them up for success? You guys are talking about all kinds of things, but if you could like break it down into just a few things that could really set them up, I guess it's just a question that I have.
It's crazy. The details and the rabbit holes you can go down to on content creation and how to do it well, and the landscape, ever moving landscape. We could talk for 5 hours and still not cover 10% of it. So it's kind of wild. We're doing a cursory overview. Well, let's take a look. I'm just going to be kind of open book and let you guys see what I got here. So it's going to show you the latest video right here for those that are looking in. Here's my channel subs. I'm pulling in 1264 in the last 28 days. And it's showing my estimated revenue. This is just coming from ads that YouTube places. This is just solely ads. And also, I believe you get any super chats, and also if you have any channel memberships and stuff like that, I think it rolls it into estimated revenue. And so this is pretty spot on when it comes to estimated revenue. So, you know, by all means, I treat YouTube, and I'll show you in a minute. You can kind of see. Actually, I think I'll show you. No, I'll show you in a minute. I treat YouTube like a part-time job. And it wasn't until I started treating it like a part-time job did it actually take off. And I'll show you from the lifetime of my analytics as far as views and stuff concerned. And I'll let everybody guess where you think I actually started taking this thing seriously and start treating it like a business and stop treating it like a hobby. And you'll start seeing that. So this is always going to show you your ranking by views. And so it's going to show you out of the last 10 videos that you have up. This is performing 4 out of 10. And I'm testing out with cutting out some shorts from longer form videos. And YouTube at the beginning of the year, I believe, allows you to now do up to 3-minute shorts, which is interesting. So I've been testing those. They've been doing terribly for me. But nonetheless, just testing what YouTube is just rolled out. They want a lot of people using. So they're usually going to send that if you do that early on. So like everyone saw this with shorts. If you use shorts early on, they sent them to the moon until it became incredibly saturated, and everybody came over from other different platforms and start posting it there. And so now it's kind of like, oh, it's not as easy. But this is interesting. So this is another way to do affiliates. However, this is going to be affiliates that on a video it pops up. It's really bizarre. So this is just they give better deals. For instance, you can get it from Walmart. You can click it in there. So I'll do both. So if I'm selling a Garmin Striker 4, I'll go and I'll show you in the video where you can do this. You click the button, add a few, and you can actually tag them in the video so it pops up. Or you can just send people down to the affiliate link where you want them to go to. So I've done both, and I'm getting a little bit of traction here. It's going to show channel members over here, subscribers. But now let's head into the analytics. This is the deep, dark rabbit hole. All right. Last 28 days. And so I think it's important to look at like the output down below. So this is going to be a short, two videos, long form, one short, another short. And this is the video and a short. Live video, 14th short. As you guys picking up, I'm doing typically something, trying to do something every day. When I get into the summer, when it's peak fishing season, I'm doing a short a day and maybe 3 videos a week on part-time. If you want to know what I do in my life, it's either I work, I spend time with my family, I'm part of a small group at my church, and YouTube. I say yes to nothing else because, as you guys can see, in order to get all this creation out the door, it requires so much time and so much attention. And so just be clear. So when you look at yours and you don't see all this output, you're not going to obviously see the results. And obviously it compounds, right? Like you said earlier, Chase, early on, it was tough. I think it took me a full year to get 1,000 subs, and we'll look at that in just a minute. But I feel like I'm compounding it now. 362,000 views in the last 28 days for those listening in. Watch time 22,700. And this is because I focused a lot on evergreen content. So my strategy isn't the latest and greatest. It isn't the latest and greatest trend. I'm not looking for that home run every time I send a video. That's not my style, and that's not been my strategy, and it's not been my strategy for years. Now, every once in a while, will YouTube send a video? They absolutely will, and those are just kind of bonuses. But I'm not going for the home run, and so I'm not chasing subs. What I'm doing is chasing evergreen content that's just as relevant today than it will be in 3 years, than it will be in 5 years. And so that's why I believe when you see my views and you see my watch hours at 23,000 in the last 28 days, that's because 2 years ago, I made a decision to create evergreen content, in my opinion. So that's why I believe I'm getting the results that I am seeing today. For those listening in, subscribers in the last 28 days, 1,300. This was low. It's coming out of a slump for me where I was around 800, 700 during off season here in Northeast Ohio. And so now as I'm getting into fishing season, I'm right on the precipice. It's starting to come up. And this will sometimes get, I think I've had it as high as 4,000 in like July when it's like peak fishing season. And how much I will make is right now, this is $1,895.73 in the last 28 days on AdSense. And so what I've been focusing on has been more of an appetite around when it comes to fishing and content in general, is longer form content, right? And this is why I love the podcast. But you got to be careful. So I used to do this and I stopped doing it because I was like, wait a second, I think I'm actually breaking a rule and I'm going to get nailed by YouTube. And so there's a thing called reuse content. It goes against their terms and conditions. And so what you typically don't want, and what YouTube I think doesn't want, is you taking other people's content and kind of claiming it as yours, not doing enough transformational work toward it to make it justifiable. And that line is very fuzzy and only YouTube knows it. And so that's kind of dangerous in my opinion. So you want to create original content. But the issue is if you also create a podcast like this one, right? And let's say I have someone on, we talk for the first 20 minutes about this or that. We get into the meat and it's really juicy for 50 minutes. And then we fluff out toward the end. I might take that 50-minute real juicy part, do an intro and outro, and then put that on as a video. What you have to pay attention to is, I don't think YouTube does it a lot, but I think they're going to move toward it because robots are finding out the duplicate content. Is YouTube doesn't want you creating a 50-minute video, cutting it to 45 minutes, doing a different intro and outro, posting that, cutting it to 40 minutes, doing an intro, and they're going to nail you on it, and they can demonetize you in a hot second. And so what I'll do if I do take a podcast, I actually will delete the podcast and send the video. So there's not two places that have 50 minutes of the same video. So be careful with reuse content. I think right now they're just trying to nailing on people stealing other people's content and making it their own without any transformational work. But also be careful if it's your own work being represented in two places with not a lot of transformational. So make sure it sits either in your podcast or sits either on your videos. And so I went back and deleted a lot of podcasts and so forth and so on to make sure I'm not on reuse content. All right, this is the last 28 days. Let's take a look at 90 days. So 90 days, I'm pretty steady. I don't have anything wild and crazy down here. I'm looking at roughly, 7,000 up to 14,000 views a day. I think I would probably say 10,000 on average now. And we're getting into fishing season, so it's looking pretty good. The last 90 days, $4,720 through AdSense. And so not too shabby. It's going to pay for your fishing habit. Now, granted, took me a lot of work. I mean, if you might be like, heck yeah, it's a lot of money for fishing. Well, if you were to average this across the board per hourly rate, I'm making like $1 an hour, folks. So this is 4 years of work to get to this point. 3,000 subs in the last 90 days and 54,000 watch hours. But let's take a look real fast. Let's take a look at the last. Let's just take a look at lifetime. This should be interesting. All right, views. Just hit 12 million views on the last 4 years. Anybody want to take a guess where I started taking this seriously? So for those of you listening in, I started the channel on January 7th, 2021. And I just worked my butt off. You know, I hit my first 100 subscribers in March. So it took me 3 months to hit 100 subscribers. I hit, let me see.
I'm gonna have to click a different tab there.
I am. There we go. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong tab. I apologize, everyone. Is this just showing me for the day? Is it showing me the aggregate? It's just showing me for the day. All right, that's not gonna work. Yep. But it took me I know for me specifically, it took a full year to get to 1,000. And then as you can see, there's a lot of jumps here. These jumps are typically going to be a short that took off, and it becomes what I call a sub magnet. Yeah. Now, here's a word to the wise. So a lot of people have started when shorts came out, they're like, oh, wait a second, I should split my channels. I should have a short channel and I can have a long form channel, because people are like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to get a bunch of short-term viewers. And whenever I create a long form video, I'm going to send this out and all my short-term viewers are going to look at it. And since they have a attention span of 5 seconds, it's going to signal to the algorithm that this video sucks. And so what I've been trying to do is move everything at the same time, right? I'm not trying to go full bore all shorts. I'm not trying to go full bore all live. I'm not trying to go full bore. I'm literally at the same time, I'm moving all of them together. So it's a well-rounded channel. And it seems to be working for me. I've had 483,000 for those listening in, 483,000 watch hours. I know in 2024, last year, I added those up. It equaled just in 2024, I think 26 years of watch time. 50,600 subscribers. Now, granted, I also lose a lot of subscribers. I don't know where you can find that, but I've probably lost a lot. So people come and go. Don't focus on that. Focus on the subscribers and the community. It says, and here's the thing, subs is kind of a vanity metric. Now, it's not inconsequential. So you got to think, a subscriber is someone that said they watched your content and they said, I want to see more of that. So it means something, but the algorithm is smart enough now to know I have people, they know what you're watching. They know what you're like, and that's what they're going to serve up to you. How YouTube makes its money is through eyeballs and time, right? Ads. So the longer you keep eyeballs in your video, and that's how YouTube is going to make their money. And so if you have a video where people are watching on average 10 minutes, YouTube is going to send that mother because they are making more money. And so that's why being that there's more of an appetite for longer form content and longer videos in general, it's a really good thing for YouTube because they're making more money and the appetite is going there, which is really, really interesting. And so in the last 4 years, estimated revenue for Wendell Fishing is $37,335.54. And so that is, Seth, you watching? I'm not paying attention to any of the comments are ripping right now.
It's so crazy.
I'm trying to learn something here, so I haven't even been in the comment section much. I'm writing notes. I have a notepad here. Trying to learn something on the side.
Here's a question from Zach. Do YouTube premium subscribers affect the revenue since they don't see ads? And if I was to go down, no, because you actually get a portion of the premium subscribers revenue. So they do revenue share, YouTube, and they also do it for premium members. And they actually will break that out for you in the back end of your analytics. So great question there. All right. Sly Fox Fishing asked the question, how do you find the thumbnail test? All right, let's head over to content and let's go to one that I finished up. So let's do avoid costly mistakes. This is a recent video. And so when you scroll down, you will see the test. Now, when you're uploading a video, it'll give you an option. I think it says test. Just pay attention to it. You can either upload one thumbnail or it says test. You want to hit test and it gives you 3 options to upload a thumbnail. But to view the test report, you got to click on the thumbnail, hit view test report, and you will see here that after running for the time that it ran, thumbnail number 1 performed at 33.4%, thumbnail 2, 36.1%, thumbnail 3 at 30.6%. Now, keep in mind, this just isn't if someone clicked it, right? And so if you go over here and look at this little question mark, how was the winning thumbnail selected? It's saying the winning thumbnail generated the highest share of a video's watch time. So not only did the user click on it, it's they watched it longer than any of your other thumbnails. And so this is really key because you want a thumbnail that isn't clickbait. This is what they're trying to cut down on, right? So the thumbnail, the video delivered on the thumbnail is what the thumbnail testing is trying to do for you. And so if you're not doing this, highly recommend doing this. Now, if it's really, really close, they'll run this thing out for like 12 days. If it's not close at all and one is outperforming the rest, they're going to shut this test down and pick thumbnail, the one that wins right away. And because they want more eyeballs and longer to make money. And so the more videos that deliver on the thumbnails, YouTube makes more money. And so this is why you can test and compare. And so that's where you are going to find that. All right, Seth, any questions over here that I'm missing? My goodness.
They had one on taxes, how difficult it is doing taxes.
Oh my gosh. I'm in the middle of all that garbage right now. Chase, no
response from me on that yet.
No, yeah, right.
Chase is like, I got it easy this year.
It's a pain. And so I recently set up Wendell Fishing as its own LLC. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, treating it like a business. I don't want to ever get sued and then be able to come after my anything personal. So it's set up on its own LLC, and there's a bunch of rules around that. I do a lot of research on it. If I were you, you can't peer surveil, so you really got to keep your finances dialed in. But you pay taxes like you would anywhere else. I do all my taxes right now through a CPA, so they help me kind of dial that up. But I have to track all my expenses every month. The good news is you can write off fishing expenses, right? You bought a lure, you bought line, you bought rods, you traveled to a body of water or to a tournament in which you were content creating, right? You can write off those miles. You have a meal, you can write off 50% of the meal or 30% of the meal. And so if you want to take it that far, once you start monetizing, be prepared to start paying taxes on that, because Google's going to send you whatever they send you during tax time, and you're going to have to start paying taxes on it. So keep that in mind. If you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to meet the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Well, also comes a bit of responsibility with that, that I wouldn't skirt. So keep that in mind. Are you willing to kind of treat it like a business? To what degree do you want to protect yourself? Let's say you made a stupid video, someone went out and did it and they hurt themselves, right? You protect yourself. So keep that in mind. All right. Seth, any other questions?
I actually just keep listening to you and I don't even pay attention to it. That should be my sole responsibility from now on. I don't see anything since that last one. Nothing there.
Videos, not photos.
Posting time. Are there certain times that are better than others? Does it matter?
You know what? I usually check this on my phone. So if you go to the app, the YouTube Studio app on your phone, and you go to analytics, and I'll kind of show everybody listening in, you can go to audience. I don't know if you guys can see this. And it will show you when your people who follow your channel, when they are on and when they're not on. And so, for instance, for me, on Sunday, starting at 7 o'clock, people start watching the videos, and people are watching videos from noon all the way to 7 o'clock. And every time after work, everyone hops over and starts watching videos. I don't spend a lot of time on this. I'll usually just pick a couple days. I get into the rhythm, and I heard, this is something I want to talk about. Consistency. Everyone's like, just as long as you hear that a lot, you hear a lot of people spewing it from YouTube, consistency. And I don't think consistency is as much as time-based. Like, hey, I post every Thursday at 9 o'clock. And then every Tuesday I do I think consistency has more to do with consistency of your content, and the consistency of you, and the consistency of your energy, and the consistency of what you talk about, right? Because if that changes, like someone might be like, I'm not quite sure if I want to hit that sub button or I want to continue to follow you, because in the last video you were someone completely different than you are in this video, and now you're talking about a subject that has nothing to do with fishing, and now you're talking about Ford trucks, and now you're over here talking about something unrelated. I'm out. This guy or girl has no clue who they are, and so I don't want to watch it anymore because I don't know what I'm going to get. And so I think consistency is key, but I don't think it's for the reasons most people think consistency. I don't think it is as time-based. I think it's important. Like, for instance, I won't typically waver from Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast, just because I want people to know, oh, it's Tuesday night. Darren's doing his podcast typically. And so I don't want that to be bouncing around and no one knows when it really is. And I get into rhythms and I change it. Right now, every Thursday I do a video, and every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. I post a video. But that's changed over the years. And so it really just depends on the rhythm. And there was one point I wasn't doing a podcast, and then I'll get into fishing season, and then I'll change up my rhythm even more because I'm posting more often. And so I don't see a huge difference on posting time personally. I think YouTube gives your video about 2 days, see how it performs. And if it's not performing in 2 days, either you're going to know real early if this thing's going to take off and kind of be viral on the onset. But also, and we mentioned at the beginning of the video, don't delete your stuff. I've had videos freaking be sent to the moon a year or two after I made them. And it's like nothing freaking sends it to the moon. Like, for whatever reason, it's a sleeper video. And so that's why I get excited about creating so much content. Darren, why do you create so much? Because you just never know when YouTube is going to send it. It could be today. It could be in 9 years from now. You don't know. So I'm a fundraiser. And so what I do, and what my mind is trained to do, is fill the pipeline, right? I got to fill the pipeline with donors, and the more donors, eventually I will close on them. And that's the same way I view YouTube. I'm filling the pipeline with as many videos, quality content as I could possibly produce. And because I know that YouTube is eventually going to close on them for me. And the audience, they're going to find an audience for it. There is something I wanted to chat about real quick called channel authority. And so if you're like, oh, I just saw Darren's content page, and I saw some videos that haven't been posted yet, I'm going to go steal his title and steal his thumbnail and steal the video, and think you're going to get the same results. And that's not how it works either. I spent 4 years tagging my videos kayak fishing, Darren Wendell kayak fishing. I've created so many videos on kayak fishing so that YouTube now knows who to serve my videos up to and what audience to. And if you're just starting out and you've never created a kayak fishing video, or you've seen some other person do a video, and like, I'm going to copy the thumbnail and copy the title, like, why am I not getting the same results? Because I spent 4 years creating channel authority around certain subjects. And so YouTube is going to send my videos to the moon around those subjects. And so this is why it's really important to kind of niche down a bit. And I've thought about breaking out of the niche of kayak fishing into kind of fishing, but he's like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. And I'll create videos that have nothing to do with kayak fishing, but I love kayak fishing so much. And I think that's the niche I've created for myself. And I think it's important to kind of stay there, because I feel like there's still a lot of growth, especially over the next 3 years. I think it's going to be a boom.
Yeah.
Is there a down period, like the wintertime? Like you were talking about the off season. I know in Florida, we just fish all year. So there's no.
Yeah, we get it. We hear you loud and clear, freaking Seth.
No
loud and clear.
But do you see a obvious, sink in numbers and views during like the December, January months?
I'll let you take that one, Chase.
So yeah, I mean, definitely see certain times of the year where you see a decrease in views, without a doubt. Throughout the winter time, you'll see that. I still feel, though, the more consistent you are about posting, sometimes it'll carry through. Certain videos seem to do better in the winter than others. I mean, I think the biggest thing, and you'll see even like Darren with the KFO show, you know, he'll kind of hit topics that are current. You know, he did the winter fishing on the KFO show. So I think hitting topics that are current for what's going on, especially in your area, if you've got something. I mean, my channel is Southwest Indiana Outdoors, so most of the people that watch are from this area. Now, I won't lie, I have people that watch that are in New York, and you know, of course, I've built built some friends through YouTube. So you know, that fishing noob that's down in Texas, he'll watch my videos, but most of the people that watch my videos are somewhere around my area. They'll look at certain lakes that I may tag in there. But yeah, posting what content that is familiar to what people are experiencing in your area, that seems to be what does better for me. You know, if you're in an area that is cold and you're posting about fishing in cold water and how to fish in cold water, it's gonna get some popularity. You know, again, key to what Darren posted, he made a KFO show talking about cold water fishing, and my wife, who has started fishing with me over the last, I guess we're right at a year now, but really fell in love with kayak fishing, you know, midway into last year. She watched your video to learn, because, you know, bass fishing is something that she's brand new at. She watched your video to learn, and learned, you know, how to go out and throw a jerk bait and throw out, you know, flat sided crankbaits, and went out on the water with me one day in December and caught her first fish on a jerk bait that day, you know, and
Come
said,
on.
hey, you know, I learned this from watching a podcast, and I took the time to try to figure out what they're going to be out there biting at this point, you know, and that's the big thing, you know, posting something that's relevant to what is going on in the world right now, what is going on in your area, is going to definitely pull views even in those tougher times of year. I mean, ultimately, if you're like me, I enjoy fishing content. I like watching videos. So there are only certain content creators that really appeal to me. But, you know, when I see a video that, when I haven't been fishing and I see a video that I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be out here catching them, sometimes that's going to appeal to me. Hey, you know, do I see myself going to California and fishing on the Delta? Not for any time soon, but man, going and watching Greg Blanchard out there and smacking him on the Delta, or sometimes skunking on the Delta, you know, that is appealing to me. I really enjoy watching that. You know, Kayak Adventure Series. So that's something I fished that last year. Seth, again, I gave you a congrats last week, but again,
thanks,
congrats on going down there and doing well down there in Florida on that KAS event down there. But yeah, so people that are posting Kayak Adventure Series videos right now, I'm going to be kind of watching those, because something about that tournament series is just super appealing to me. I fished the Ozarkana event in Missouri last year. Was so much fun. I mean, it's 100% what Drew calls it. It's an adventure. You know, built some great friendships through that kayak tournament, and looking forward to fishing at least one event this year. We're going to fish the one in Minnesota, potentially going to fish the one in Ohio. So may have to
come on up,
meet up with you over there, Darren.
And Darren will be there.
JT and I will put the hammer on you guys. Team
Team
Chattergrass.
I'm looking forward to it.
That's funny.
I don't like that name. Never mind. Forget that crap.
Do you guys ever have any? I don't deal with this, but I've heard it before from other folks. Like any imposter syndrome or anything like that when you first got started, where you don't necessarily feel like you're an expert at what you're talking about, or that people might not view you as an authoritative person in that sense. Does that make sense?
I mean, I'll speak on that one real fast for sure, because when I first started videoing, I was literally brand new to bass fishing. So I grew up catfishing, grew up fishing on a river or the local lakes back in Illinois where I'm from. And we catfished. I mean, that was the big thing that we always did. then at one point I fell in love with crappie fishing.
Mm.
For the past, I don't know, 14 years, 15 years, I've been mainly focused on crappie up until 2 years ago, which is, again, the same time that I started my channel. I had been watching kayak tournament fishing and said, that looks like a lot of fun. And that's something I would be interested in doing. And I looked around me and there were no kayak fishing tournaments that were crappie. So I was like, well, the only tournaments around me are bass fishing. So maybe I need to learn how to bass fish. So yeah, that's something without a doubt, getting started into bass fishing and making videos on it. You kind of feel like when you're explaining something to people, you're like, well, some of these guys that are watching my videos have done this for years.
Right,
and, they're going to watch this and be like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And like I said, my wife being very new she's brand new to bass fishing as well. And some of our live streams, like our last week, we did a live stream and it was our top picks for kayak fishing gear. She said multiple times in the video, hey, I kind of feel like I'm not the one that should be saying this because I've only been doing it for, the last 8 months or so. But in reality, I think ultimately we all have, I see my buddy, That Fishing Noob, commenting a lot. His channel is based on being a noob, but I think we all have that piece of the puzzle that we can give in what we're doing, and some people want to see somebody out there learning. Some people want to see that person that's going to go out there and in my opinion, or in my case, flip your kayak over while you're deciding to stand up and thinking you might be able to sight fish, and and you lose your balance just a little bit and say, well, here it goes, So some people are going to want to see that. They're going to want to see the people that make those mistakes on the water, or, have 10 backlashes and it's relatable.
Yeah.
So
I think
the
that's
big
it,
thing
Seth.
to me.
Imposter syndrome. I mean, how many people are out there talking on YouTube, talking about the same lure, talking about the same rod, talking about the same technique, talking about the same kayak? A lot of them. And I just read somewhere in here, Nice Day for Fishing said, let's be real, there's always someone smarter and better than you. Big facts. I would actually even agree with that. And this is why YouTube has a place, because your vibe is going to attract your tribe. And if you lean into that, you will realize you don't need to be the next Tactical Bassin. You don't need to be the next this person, or whoever name comes to your mind right now as you're thinking about it.
Wendell.
All you need to be is Wendell. All I need to be is Wendell Fishing, right?
Yeah.
And because I have something to offer, and it's going to be a little different bend and a little different experience. And here's the thing, and this is why I believe a lot of the money that's sitting in pros right now, a lot of the money from these companies are going to pros, and I don't think they're getting their investments back. And so a lot of that investment is going to be coming over to content creators who people trust and people can have conversations with. And when they write them, they're going to write them back. And they've seen their journey, and they like their vibe, and they like their humor, and they like their values that they hold as a dad, as a Christ follower, as whatever it may be. And that's the tribe that you create. And so when you trust someone, you want to support them. You believe what they say is true, and you just don't have that line of connection to pros, right? And so see a lot of that money swinging over to content creators. And so just you're going to get a lot of trolls early on. And it wasn't till I got a lot of trolls in between, like, of course, 0 and like 20,000. I don't remember the last troll comment I received since 20,000. And so it's kind of wild and crazy. And I always, if you don't get caught up in those conversations, folks, here's the word to the wise. I have a rule: never feed the trolls. Just ban them. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your effort. They're not worth a single piece of your brain. And you have people who actually love you. All the people who said, yes, sub, I want more of that. Spend your time over there. Don't go back and forth with jackhole that decided to say that you suck or whatever it is. It's not worth your time. Ban them. Actually, what I love to do is write a really quick zinger and then ban them, because I know what they're doing. YouTube won't tell them that they're banned. They can do a response, and they spend an hour with this awesome zinger to hit enter, and I never see it because I banned them. It's freaking amazing. So I always get people riled up
That's
and then ban
hilarious.
them. Yeah. And they spent an hour and then go chat GPT. Oh, is it going to be good? Boom. Nothing. Goes to nothing land. Other questions. You had a question for us, Seth, at the beginning that I mean, right before we went into the analytics that we never got back around to.
Yeah, just a couple like top 2 or 3 suggestions you have. I mean, you guys covered a lot, but if you could sum it up to like 2 or 3 points for someone that's new, just starting a YouTube channel and wants to grow over the first year or two, just some of the suggestions for those folks.
I'll do one and we'll go back and forth, Jason. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yep.
Realistic expectations, right? I feel like so many videos are out there, especially when you're learning how to be a content creator, how to get your first 1,000 subs, how to monetize on YouTube. You're going to hear stories of how people went from 0 and how I got 1,000 subs in a month and how I monetized in 3 weeks. And you can do, but I did it. Don't believe it. It's a bunch of BS. Yep. I mean, I'm not saying that their stories aren't true. I'm just saying it's not scalable. And I wouldn't expect it for yourself because I don't know a single fishing content creator that went from nothing to something really, really fast. And I'm sure they're out there, but there's such an exception to the general rule that it's just going to take you time and grind to get it done. And so it's going to take you a year to get to 1,000 subs. You might do it in 9 months if you really grind at it. It's going to take you maybe 9 months to a year and a half to get monetized. And when you do, your first check's going to be $20. Congratulations. And so you need to figure out if you just want it to be a hobby. Because I believe that being a content creator makes you a better angler, right? Because when I do my videos, I take a deep dive. I know some things and I start doing research. And then when I'm editing my videos, I'm like, oh, I thought I caught the fish by doing this, and actually watching my video, I'm doing something completely different and unrelated that I now can replicate. Or maybe I see a fish that was doing something over here in my editing. And so I believe that if you just want to be a better angler and you kind of enjoy the content creation thing, but have no desire to like do it full time, still do it. Go through that process because it's going to make you a better angler through the research and through the editing process and through getting feedback and through talking with other anglers. But have realistic expectations that you're likely not going to be that 1 in a million that goes from 0 to full time in 1 year.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And I agree. Sometimes I'll even say that being a content creator pushes me to get out on the water at times when I normally wouldn't. Now, I'm not saying that I'm putting myself in jeopardy, as in safety wise, but there are times that, and you are just beat down. I know you guys are dads also. I have 4 children, guys. Like, it is brutal. Work a full-time job, have a wife who runs a small business, and having 4 kids. It is brutal on an everyday basis. And my kids, now, my older one is 12, but my kids are from 7 to 12. So 4 kids between 7 and 12. It's really tight in age group. They've all been pretty small. And I agree. Sometimes being a content creator pushes you to get out on the water, which again makes you become a better fisherman. Because there's times that I'm like, man, I really need to get out and create some content. So the only way I can do that is by making myself go out. So at times when you're kind of feeling broke and you kind of feel like going home and just taking a nap, you're like, well, maybe 2 hours on the water is worth making that trip. So that's definitely a big thing. I think that's something I'll push is for sure, making yourself go out and create the content. I kind of talked on it a little bit at the beginning on deleting content that I deleted just because I felt uncomfortable with it. Make yourself start. You have to start somewhere. It's not going to be good at first. Like the guy posted earlier and Darren said it spot on. I've made 20 plus videos. 20 plus videos is nothing. No. 20 plus videos, you've not really spent much time doing it. Yeah, I'll 100% agree with Darren. Hit 100 videos. Once you hit 100 videos, then tell me, hey, I'm a content creator and I'm really working towards something.
Yeah.
And nothing against the people that are 20 videos in, but you've not learned enough. You've not put enough time into it to understand what it's going to be, what it's going to take from you. If you think it's overwhelming at 20 videos in, you're not going to make it into this. Put in 100 videos, spend your time putting that time in, and it's going to make a big difference. And I seen somebody post just a minute ago, I think it was Trevor, that said he's really enjoying it. I honestly do too. I can't say, I mean, there are times that it's like, oh man, I really kind of want to go home and spend time with the family tonight. But I've really loved doing it. I've had a lot of fun making videos, going back and watching my content, and like Darren said, learning from it. And something that really keyed that for me again over the last 8 months is, well, really the last year now, is spending time on the water with my wife. So I think had I not been getting into this content creation and seeing some growth, that it's not something she would have ended up joining me on, because I was so into kayak fishing, and the content creation kind of pushed me in that direction to fall in love with it as much as I have. She decided to join me on the water one day, and that one day on the water turned into, I can't tell you exactly how many trips we ended up making last year, but it was a lot. And talk about some awesome time when you have 4 kids, you and your wife getting out on the water together, like peace, just straight peace.
Seth knows all about that.
She and I know your wife caught a big one just recently.
I was just about
to
say that's the cheat code, man. That's the cheat code. Bring them with. Get the subscribers.
My wife holds the PB for our house. Now I'm not down in Florida where we're catching, double-digit bass or anything. But my wife, she caught a 5.5 pounder last year, and right now I'm at 4.99 pounds, so I'm just under 5 pounds for a PB.
See, that's awesome.
I'm sure she reminds you every day.
She definitely likes to remind me of that. She's in the comments right now, so I'm sure she'll say something.
Is that Miss what is
this
it?
Is SWIS.
Yeah, I love it. My number 2, I just wrote a bunch of thoughts down, Seth. So I'll kind of rip. I won't go deep dive. I'll just rip on it. Don't get distracted by deals. Once you start getting somewhat of following, every Chinese company known to man is going to reach out to you. Timo is going to reach out to you. Every battery brand known to man that comes out of China is going to be reaching out to you. And it's really easy, as Chase mentioned earlier in the show, to be like, ooh, free stuff. It's not free. Your time and effort, and you're going to be putting this out in front of your people. Be selective, right? Free stuff isn't free. It takes your time. It's gonna and a lot of times there, if you don't know your worth and your value, you're getting used by these companies. So just keep an eye on that. Do your research. I think be a constant learner. And I'm not talking about constant learner run. If you really want to make a run, I'm talking to all those, you're like, hey, I'm really thinking about really taking a deep dive on this. Hustle culture is my world. I love long nights, early mornings. I love not sleeping. I love not spending time with my family. If that's you and you want to be a content creator, you want to be a terrible father. Just kidding. Become a constant learner. So when I'm out on the road, when I travel for work, I am binge listening to Sean Cannell from Think Media, right? And I'm learning YouTube. I'm learning to think like, and he brings on some of the best of the freaking best. And so if you think you're just going to be able to make content and keep on pushing that without learning, because the landscape's ever moving when it comes to YouTube, you got news for you. Newsflash, that's not going to work well for you. So be a constant learner. Highly recommend Sean Cannell's Think Media channel. And he also has like a podcast. If you were like, hey, taking a big long drive, they'll go like 50 minutes, an hour, and talking about the whatever specific subject they got going on. Don't take shortcuts. There's a lot of cheat codes and things you can do. Build a solid actual base of people. And so it's going to take longer. It's going to take a lot more time. There's a ways to cheat the system. Don't fall for it, because it's just going to hurt your channel long term. And so don't get caught up in those things. And just be prepared. I think you're going to make it in YouTube. It's a hustle culture, folks. If you're not willing to outlearn, outlast, outperform, outwork, then you're probably not going to make it, because there's guys out there like Chase and I who are like, I say yes to nothing in my life, outside of, like I said earlier, outside of church, family, my work, and YouTube. I mean, it's late nights. I'll be up till 11 o'clock tonight editing this, so it goes up tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock a.m. And so, I mean, it's every single second of the day it will take from you, and I freaking love it. I love it. I wouldn't be doing anything else with my time, but I just freaking love it. This is how I know this is going to be good for long term for me. So be willing to put in the time, unless you like, hey, I just want to slow grow this. And for me, I don't ever need to be full time. I just want to cover my expenses and cover my hobby. That's how I started. I started off by being like, hey, I want to first start a YouTube channel because I want my kids to learn how to fish in case I'm not here during that time frame, or their grandchildren want to fish and learn how to do it. Pops can teach them. I'm dead, but all my videos are still alive on YouTube if you want to go learn from grandpa or great great grandpa or great 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 grandpa. And then my wife and I have been starting having conversations of how much money I was spending on fishing. And so I was like, okay, I'll just monetize. And then you get to the monetization, and I was like, wait a second, there's actually a path forward that's never been available to guys like us. It's only been available to pros who win tournaments. And it's like, I could do this freaking full time. I see the path, and I can count down the years. And if you're willing to put in that time, you can be a full-time angler, and it's freaking awesome. And I love that I'm living in a time and place where we can do that. Got all jacked up. I'm all jacked up.
Yeah.
And that's right.
I mean, I'll say I grew up, I grew up a hunter instead of a fisherman. I loved the outdoors from the time I was a small child. And I can remember watching, old hunting videos and stuff. And I mean, even some of the old fishing, your old Bill Dance stuff. And you think, oh man, this is really cool watching these guys, but it's not something that's ever attainable. It couldn't be attainable for me. And now with YouTube, it is attainable. It takes a lot to get there, and you've got to put the effort in, but it's attainable now. And I agree with Darren 100%.
So just to give them a timeline, I think between my wife's a content creator as well. I think in 4 years with affiliate marketing. Someone asked, do I rip this? I'll be up to 11 to edit this. Yes. I mean, it's 10 o'clock now, but usually I'm up to 11:30. What I'll do is I'll take this, I'll rip it into audio form, then I'll put it up on my platform that sends it out to all the iHeartRadio and Apple Podcast. And I do that. So, and everyone expects it by tomorrow morning. And so I stay up late and do it, so I don't get caught up on, but it's I just get into a rhythm, and so it feels normal to me. It actually helped me come down from the podcast, the live show. So I don't know where I was at on that, but Seth, any other questions you have or anything you've been listening in the live? I know that we've kind of dominated the conversation tonight. Apologize for that, but what was the one thing? And if you have one last question, go and throw that in the live section. We'll get that answered for you. Seth, what was the most eye-opening thing for you tonight?
I don't know if it's a pleasant thing for me, but just the reiteration on the amount of work if you're going to do it and do it right. Like the amount of work that you have to put into it, and the continuation of that work and consistency. And if you're going to do it right, you got to put the time in and add the videos, edit the videos, build your community, all that. So, I mean, it's better to know it in the beginning than to find out later. So yeah, I think that's a point that you guys got across that, hit home. So yeah, not a sexy one, but
yeah, right. Well, it's the whole point of tonight's show was like, hey, if you're thinking about making a run of this, let's give you some realistic expectation of and money and what it's going to take and how long. And everyone kind of do the math now based off of looking at me at 4 years, looking at Chase at 2 years, kind of do the math. Okay, in order to support my family, or if it's just you can do it sooner. If it's you, your wife, and 2 kids, either you got to have a lot of money in the bank so you could have a burn rate for a few years in order to meet your new normal. But hopefully this helped give everyone a general expectation. If you're like, hey, you had this pipe dream, you always kept thinking about it, I want to start a YouTube channel because eventually I want to go full time, then you know what that looks like. and maybe you want to start a YouTube channel because I want to pay for my hobby, kind of know what that looks like.
Right. Yeah.
Probably looking at 2-3 years and a lot of work. Probably better off just go to your job, make the money, and go buy it yourself, because the time spent is going to be probably better if you trade it for hours, trade hours for money than it would be the hours that you're going to put into content creation. So something to think about for sure. I had a question here from 10K Sweaty Fishing. What a name. He said, what's is the goal for 2025? Now I can answer that in a variety of different ways. So 10K, if you are still in the comment section, which should be, because you just posted this, what do you mean? How do you want us to answer that? Money, views, what angle you want to take that? All right. What other questions do we have here?
They have a chest and rear view, third person view, or chesty mount, or third person view if you only have one camera.
Go ahead, Chase.
That's a tough one. I like them both. So I personally use a chesty for the ease of it. It's right there. It's easy if you have any issues with the camera. It's easy to take care of. I started out in a kayak that was stable, but not stable enough for me to just turn around and work on a camera behind me at all times. But, time in the kayak, you learn how to get through that stuff. So, but for me personally, chesty was the way I started out, and it's the ease of use is what's been really convenient for me.
I typically don't use a chesty when I'm on a kayak. I run 2 views over the shoulder of my right shoulder, and then I have the crotch shot, which everyone loves.
I was literally going to say the crotch shot. You said it. Whenever you called it, I was going to come back with the crotch shot.
It's a crowd pleaser, folks. I mean, if you want to see why my views have gone what they've done, that's the real juice. My goodness, so good. But every time you add a camera, you're just adding a ton of work. Another 8 hours of reviewing videos if you're on the water. But
yeah, now I have one on mine and my wife's kayaks.
Oh my gosh, you got 4 cameras
running? A lot of editing.
Yeah.
So currently I'm just running 2. So I run one on mine and one on hers. Now I'll say that it's brought a new thing to the channel, because I like to throw in the banter, because we always have some banter out on the water. She'll kind of mouth off at me, I'll kind of mouth off at her, and I'll throw that back and forth. And it's
fun.
It's been good. A lot of people have given really good feedback on that.
I only run a chesty whenever I'm doing bank fishing or wade fishing. So that's typically the only time I'm going to put a chesty on. All the rest are static. I got one bow, one on the stern. What was I going to say on this? Videos. Crap. Oh, the reason I started running 2, because I fish a lot of, local lakes. There's a crap ton of great bass fishing lakes where all within an hour of me, I could be at Mosquito and, Nimisila, and there's Portage Lakes is a huge chain around me. It's known for monsters. And so I run 2 because sometimes when I catch a fish, there are pretty distinctive things in the background where people can know where I'm at. and so if it's distinctive over the shoulder, I'll use the front video, where usually behind me there's nothing that's noticeable. And I do this not to be like, ooh, everyone's looking at me trying to steal my spots. I do it out of consideration for other anglers in the area.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to blow up there. Hey, I've been fishing this for the last 20 years. I love it. And then Wendell Fishing came through and basically, told everybody where to fish. And now I can't even get into my spot now, because now there's 15 people in it. And so I want to be considerate to those in my area. So typically when I go to a lake that I don't fish all the time, anyways, that's the reason I do it. So that's the reason I started running 2 cameras. 1, it's a different dimension, but 2, I just want to be considerate to those. All right, we got some other questions here. 10K Sweaty Fishing. Man, I gotta know the inspiration behind that name.
He has it here.
He actually gives it. He gives it the last comment.
Oh, he does?
Sweaty is from my son. When he was 4, he would say, "I'm 10,000 sweaty today," when it was hot outside. I've adopted it as my name for anything.
That is amazing. I am 10,000 sweaty today.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he said, what's a goal, like any goal for your channel for the year?
All right, let's go around the horn. We're coming up on we're laying the plane on this one. So Seth, he's Seth, like, I'm not doing anything after I hear what you guys talked about tonight. Forget
to
that
get,
crap.
to get started and then be consistent with it.
So you're still like, hey, this is
no, I'm definitely gonna do it.
We didn't talk you out of it.
I don't know what the outcome's gonna be or my full goal. I mean, my goal in fishing and I want to get to the Elite Series one day, and I want to be able to have money to do it, right? Yeah. So I want to have a following. I want to have my social media good. I want to have a YouTube, all that. So when I get there, like when Ben Milliken got there, that he can, obviously he has like 500,000 subs, but when he got there, he has a whole following and he has all the brand deals. He has all that stuff coming. So he's making money regardless of where he finishes or whether or not there's entry fees that he has to pay, all that. He's good. He's not struggling. And that's my ultimate goal. So for this year, I have a video that I'm going to put up. I'm going to start after this next event that I have this upcoming weekend. I'm not pre-fishing. I have a tournament on Saturday, but the videos that I have to get started are from that lake. So I don't want to throw them out there before this tournament because people are going to use that stuff. So I'm probably going to be getting started next week on my videos and just start rolling with them. And I don't know, it's going to be maybe a little bit of family aspect of fishing, a little background with my wife and the kids out there, and then dial into like more like perspective mode, tournament angling, what I do for pre-fishing. And then, so that's kind of the plan. That's my goal.
Does your wife guide? Because I want to hire her so I can get 1 million views when she catches the bass.
Yeah, which, dude, she's going to push like 2 million on platforms on that one video.
That's
but Field and Stream posted it. Come
Silly.
on. I've never been in Field and Stream. She's in Field and Stream already. It's wild.
That is amazing. I love that for her. Anyway. And so funny. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Chase, what you got? Goal.
Yeah. So my first goal I'm going to throw out there is hitting 3,000 subs. So I was at 1,500 to start the year. I've already gained 100 to start this year. So it's been a good start with very few videos posted. So want to hit 3,000. My goal is to look at each year and kind of try to double what my subs were. So I have no doubts I'll be able to hit 3,000. Hoping to hit more than that, but that's my goal. 3,000 subs. I know I can make it and potentially push beyond that.
Yeah. So I mean, I have goals and stuff for the channel. I like to hit 75K by the end of the year. I think that's attainable. Who knows? Where you get to like past 50, like YouTube can really send you through the freaking moon because you're at like that compound. It took me a while to get here, but I'm here. And of course, get to the point. And so, I mean, I have unconfidence lures I want to dial in. I got the Buka trick shad. I want to work on ultralight fishing, headbanger, Spitfire. These are some lures that kind of been bouncing around my head. We've been going down to iCast, which I'm pretty excited about. It's the first time. And my big goal, and this is kind of like geeky goal, is I want to focus on the business of YouTube, right? Because if I want to make a full-time run at this, I need to have the business side down. And so heading down the iCast, get to know the right people within the industry, and really dial that in over the next year. So that's going to be a lot of my focus. None of you will see any of that typically. But that's kind of a personal goal I have. So part of that is getting my website set up for the podcast, kayakfishingobsessed.com, wendellfishing.com, getting the LLC, getting the media kit, doing all the business stuff that most content creators don't ever do, getting that dialed in. And so basically, because I get companies reach out to me every day. It's stupid. And the ones I take seriously, I'm like, hey, here's my media kit, let's talk. And I'm basically letting them know you're not going to get something from nothing. So a lot of these I just had a company reach out. If I said the name, everybody on this podcast would understand it, would know who this company is. And they're like, hey, we want to put so and so up on your we'd love to get so-and-so, my client, who you would also know the name, without a doubt, want to be on your podcast and share the latest and greatest this and this. And I was like, oh, fantastic. What would you be offering to access my podcast that I've been building for the last 2 years? And like, oh, this was just an earned media play for us. I was like, for those of you who don't know what earned media is, it really just means free to you media. Yeah. So fantastic. Yeah. I'm glad you are looking for places for your client who is paying you to get on and talk about their products. And I was like, okay, let's just say they never responded, but it's like interesting. So to get out ahead of that, I created a media kit and basically, hey, you're not talking some
Seth Taylor out there that doesn't have any subscribers.
Yeah.
This is a Darren Wendell.
And here's the thing. It might be a good deal. Like, for instance, if you have a company reach out to you and they're like, hey, we want to send you some rods, and you have 10,000 subscribers and we get some free in-kind rods. There's no cash involved in it. That's a good deal. It's now if someone reaches out to me like, hey, I want to give you some rods and no cash involved at 50,000 subscribers and 26 watch years and a conversion rate of 8.8%. That's a bad deal for me. It's a good deal for them. And so you got to know your numbers. And so know your numbers well, know your worth, because they're not going to offer you. You got to be the first one to kind of bring the value to the table. So if you're thinking about doing this full time, start thinking about the business of YouTube. I wish I would have done it sooner. The first year, I didn't treat it like a business. It's not till I started treating YouTube like a business did it then take off. And so that's my goal. That's a long, man. We're at, I don't want to end the podcast right now because we're at 1 hour and 58 minutes and 29 seconds. And so I'll just sit here in silence for a minute and a half until we reach 2 hours. We actually got some comments over here.
When did the deals start? When did the juicy ones, decent one? I guess it all, like you said, it all depends.
Yeah.
When you start seeing stuff come in for the folks that are starting to get subscribers.
At 1 subscriber, you'll start getting emails from China. And you'll get emails from China I'm at 50,000 subscribers and every freaking day. And literally, people send you stupid stuff. Like, I got one for a sweeper. We'll send you a free sweeper. Like, yeah, a lot of, and sometimes I make fun of them. I'll post them as posts like, hey guys, this is something you guys want to learn more about. It's an excellent commission rate on a sweeper. But I'm just now, so at like the 40,000 sub mark, and you know, I'm using that as a basis of what my views and watch time is going to be commensurate with. Then you start getting into, you can get basically anything you want for free if you wanted it, right? In kind would be really easy at that rate. I'm starting to enter into cash deal land at 50,000 subscribers, and with reputable brands that everybody on this show listening in would know. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on the precipice of that right now, where people would actually take me serious based off of my media kit and what I've been able to perform and how many things I've been able to move simply through just throwing a link down, right? And I don't really hard sell. It's not my style. Just making it easy and available. So that's kind of where I'm at 4 years in, 50,000 subscribers, 26 years of watch time last year. Reputable companies are willing to have a conversation. And I think for your sake, Seth, it's not going to be good enough by the time you get to the Elite Series. It's not going to be good enough just to be a good angler.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, you're already seeing that.
You're already seeing that.
Yeah.
And so if you have to be a good angler and have a following or a community that you've cultivated. That's give it a couple of years. There's still some people that are running on the fanfare. But that's becoming less and less of what companies are looking for. All right, now we're at 2 hours and 1 minute.
There we go.
Close this things down. Any other thoughts, Chase, from you, Seth? Any other thoughts there for you?
No, I think I'm good. Really enjoyed the talk tonight. I was super excited to kind of get your feelings towards this, Darren. So I'll say I learned a lot in this episode tonight. I learned a lot. I know, like I said, I've already been kind of working on making some changes to my channel. So definitely going to work on really pushing that growth and making sure that I do treat this as a business. You know, I'm going to get out of it what I put into it. And that's definitely a big goal.
Reap what you freaking sow.
Yes.
Well, everyone, this episode is brought to you by KBF. And so if you're not signed up for those monthly tournaments, if you live in Ohio, I'd love to fish against you. If you live in Florida and want to take Seth's money, feel free to do that as well. We need to get you signed up, brother. I think you would enjoy that.
I got Dalton Albright in my state. I might as well just.
Oh yeah, never mind. Hard pass. But head over to kayakbassfishing.com, hit compete, learn all about it. Chad just created that page like a week ago. I was doing some review on it. And so you're going to be able to see all the different ways you can compete there. But monthly state challenges, I have enjoyed them the last year. I'm going to be doing them all this year. But next week, I have a very special guest. kind of a loser. But Seth, my co-host, it's just gonna be me and him next week. I brought Seth on as a co-host like a month and a half ago, but I've never actually interviewed you to get your story, and so that's going to be next week. So I'm really excited to kind of go head to head with you there, Seth. And then the following week, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be on a cruise, folks, and Seth is going to lead this bad boy by himself. So it's going to be good. But thank you all for hanging in. If you hadn't hit that like button yet, please help me out. Help me get this thing a little bit more juice with some reach. Still 50 live, man. I'm so excited. Everyone who did stick around, excited about that. I have a feeling this thing's gonna go. Thank you so much. See you next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. You guys have a good one. See ya.
Yeah, have a great one, guys.